head. At that moment, Liu Ruyan sent me a private message. Mark, you don't have an ability. You won't survive the zombie apocalypse. If you share some supplies with me and tell me your location, I can come protect you. I slowly typed a question mark. Don't underestimate my ability. I survived the flood. Entirely because of it. Of course, I knew how she survived. She used her ability to inspire love, to scam supplies from her neighbors. When rescue arrived, she was the first one saved. Thinking of this, I replied, sorry, I'm not interested. Besides, Liu Ruyan knowing I'm the richest man was clearly no coincidence. The zombie virus erupted across every continent because I destroyed the planes and ships in advance, cutting off transmission routes to Pacific Island nations and Antarctica. The transmission routes were severed. Basic zombies weren't hard to deal with, but the virus spread way too fast. After spreading repeatedly, mutations started showing up, exactly as I predicted. Smart zombies and ones with powers started appearing quietly. As long as a zombie ate an ability user's flesh, it could get their powers. Players realized they'd die without alliances, so they started banding together and building bases to hold off zombie attacks. But the bases didn't just fight zombies. They fought each other too, battling over supplies and lives. Facing the zombie virus, I had to put up steel nets in the ocean to keep infected fish from reaching Future Island. Electric grids went up overhead too, stopping birds from landing. The sunlight seemed kind of dim. On rainy days, I'd hole up in my underground bunker. Only after machine testing confirmed the rain was clean would I risk coming out. That was the biggest way the zombie virus affected me. Land-based networks had crashed long ago. NPCs could only use radio to send messages. But I didn't mess with that old junk. Thousands of satellites overhead let me watch Earth in real time. Just like I figured. Birds would carry the virus. When the virus hit vulnerable island nations, the whole island instantly turned into a living hell. Player numbers. Players kept dropping one by one. This time, down to 30. But right then, a mutated bird zombie had just flown over Future Island's waters. When it hit the electric grid, instantly fried to a crisp by the high voltage. But one feather slipped through, drifting down through a gap in the grid. Before it hit the ground, a robotic dog blasted it with a fire jet, burning it to ash. That bird must have flown from other Pacific islands. From that day on, huge flocks of birds passed over Future Island every day. The electric grid was covered in bird carcasses. Robots were swamped patrolling the whole island, torching bird bodies and clearing the grid. If even Future Island was this bad, you can imagine how rough things were elsewhere. I quit taking daily beach walks and moved into the underground bunker for good. Today's New Year's, but nobody in the world feels like celebrating. Except me. I was eating my New Year's dinner while watching the last spring festival gala before the apocalypse hit. I thought about my family from before, but now I was the only one left. It was hard not to feel empty inside. I had to go back. I had to be the last one standing. I snapped a photo of my New Year's Eve dinner and sent it to Wang Teng. A minute later, Wang Teng posted my photo on the world chat. I could just picture the players losing their minds. Angry comments came flooding in. Player 99's living pretty well. Damn it, we can't even get a hot meal. And he has got a full spread. Don't get too cocky. If I find you, I'll kill you. I couldn't care less. I'll be waiting. If you can find me. I opened my computer and pulled up the profiles of 30 players I'd gathered. They had no idea that before the apocalypse, I'd already had eyes everywhere. My mercenaries had tracked down players scattered across the globe and kept them under long-term surveillance. I knew every player's abilities and weaknesses. After the apocalypse hit, my mercenaries survived on the supplies I'd stockpiled. They kept working for me, and I unlocked new supplies for them. Money makes the world go round. In the apocalypse, supplies were the most valuable currency. 3 major powers had emerged. First was the military. They had a formidable arsenal and an impregnable base. Wang Teng had seized command through mind control. Second were the zombies. A zombie king had risen among them. He gained powers by killing ability users, zombies, and players. Liu Yanyan was by the zombie king's side, having become his beloved companion. Third were the gangs. Even before the outbreak, Player 128 had entered the world's most dangerous and chaotic nation. Using his abilities, he subdued the gangs. Under Player 128's leadership, the gangs grew stronger by looting civilians. The remaining 26 players had all joined one of these three factions. Player 128 could manipulate gravity, an extremely powerful ability. In one-on-one combat, no player could take him down. Yet, the gangs were actually the weakest force. I tapped on player 128's avatar with my stylus. You'll be the first to go. Just then, the system alert sounded again. 30 players remain alive. Difficulty increasing. Entering level 3. The frozen continent. Someone immediately broke down. The apocalypse has lasted a year and 5 months. Everyone's out of supplies. Another ice age hits, and everyone on this planet dies. Liu Yuran quietly messaged me. Mark, check your messages. Mark, soon only the zombies will survive this planet. And I'll survive too. You'll regret rejecting me for the rest of your life. Then she sent a photo of herself with the zombie king. Seeing this, I sneered. In that case, I'll send you lovebirds to the afterlife together. The ice age swept across the entire planet. Even my tropical island was affected. A massive blizzard struck Future Island. The aerial power grid was the first casualty. Wind and tidal power plants took heavy damage too. Fortunately, the underground fortress's backup nuclear plant was still running. The gangs cracked first. They'd looted most of the civilians' resources. Internal tensions escalated. Conflicts erupted constantly. Awakened players died one after another. I privately messaged player 128 through the world channel. How about we team up? I've buried supplies all over your territory. Get your hands on them, and you'll survive. Player 128 replied shortly after. What do you want? Why should I trust you? I want you to take down the zombie king. My scientist team developed a zombie cure. Just spray it on them, and they vanish. But as you know, my combat stat is 0. After thinking it through, of 30 awakened, you're the strongest. Only you can pull this off. We humans fear the cold. Zombies don't. The longer this drags on, the better their odds. No matter how many supplies I have, they'll run out eventually. Then, player 101 beside the zombie king becomes the final winner. The zombie king's too powerful. Without the cure, no awakened player can kill him. I have the cure. You have powers. Let's team up and take out the zombies. To earn 128's trust, I sent mercenaries to deliver a zombie cure, along with a batch of supplies. The gang used that cure on a zombie. The zombie dissolved into a pool of blood, screaming in agony. The virus they carried was purified as well. 128 was tempted. If only he and I remained in this world. Killing me would be effortless for him. To him, I was the weakest player. Allying with me was undoubtedly his best option. One night, hundreds of drones carrying the cure flew toward the horde. The zombie king was asleep with Liu Ruyan in his arms. His keen hearing immediately detected something wrong. He got out of bed at once, not forgetting to tuck Liu Ruyan in. Massive amounts of cure mixed with snow fell from the sky. Mixed with snow, it poured down everywhere. The zombies exposed to the cure screamed in pain. One after another, they dissolved into blood. The zombie king flew into a rage. He leaped down. Beams of light shot from his palms, shattering the drones. 128 led the players charging in. He activated his gravity power, pinning the zombie king firmly to the ground. The powerful zombie king couldn't even lift his wrist. Several players rushed at him. A roar erupted from the zombie king's throat. Zombies hiding in the shadows pounced on the players like monkeys. 128 unleashed his power again. Tall buildings were torn apart by gravity and collapsed. Boulders crashed down on those zombies. The zombie king was buried along with them. 128 broke into a victorious grin. These boulders were enough to crush the zombie king to pieces. Liu Ruyan stood on the balcony. Covering her face, she let out a scream. 128 flicked his finger. The terrace beneath Liu Ruyan's feet collapsed. She fell from the height. A fall from that height meant certain death. At the critical moment, the zombie king burst from the rubble, catching Liu Ruyan. At the same time, one of his hands. At the same time, countless threads sprayed from one hand, binding 128. 128's face turned pale with shock. He never knew the zombie king had this move. The zombie king gave a gentle pull. 128's body instantly shattered. But the zombie king didn't anticipate that 128's body was loaded with cure. The packets released and engulfed him. Liu Ruyan screamed, watching helplessly as the zombie king melted into pools of blood. She was scared out of her wits. This place was literally hell. She ran for her life, but soon fell through the ice. This time, no one would save her. A power dependent on someone else's love was ultimately too weak to cut it. 12 more players went gray on the world chat. I crossed their numbers off one by one in my notebook. When I got to number 128, his weakness was written next to it. Universal gravitation. Can't control objects with extremely low mass, like the Zombie King's silk threads. I like to use information gaps to fight battles I can't lose. At this point, I only had one opponent left. Wang Teng, who controlled the military. He couldn't wait to end this game. He called me out on the world chat. This game has always been for smart people. Mark, you've done well to get this far. But every game has a loser. Kill yourself now, and I'll spare you the torture. I've always known you had mercenaries, but they're no match for the military. You've just got some dirty money. But I've got missiles, aircraft carriers, military aircraft. Hide wherever you want. I'll find you. And I flipped him off in the chat. Wang Teng's mind control was powerful, but had one fatal flaw. He had to use his power face to face. As long as I stayed in my underground bunker, he couldn't touch me with his power. But I didn't see this coming. He fired missiles straight at Future Island. Multiple missiles rained down on Future Island. A long while later, I still hadn't gone offline. Wang Teng couldn't believe it. Mark, you've got yourself a pretty solid hideout. Then I'll come drag you out myself. He sailed his aircraft carrier over. For an aircraft carrier, the reefs I put up were nothing. When he landed on Future Island, the whole island was covered in smoke. Mountains were flattened. The ground was cratered. All the defenses were wiped out. He looked at the exposed entrance to the underground bunker and smiled like he already had me. He ordered his men to blast the entrance with heavy weapons. After several rounds of heavy shelling, the door was blown off, revealing a passage inside. I immediately sent him a video call request. He answered, looking all smug, and said, staring down the pitch-black tunnel, "It is too late to beg for mercy now, Mark." He jerked his chin, signaling his men to go in, planning to drag me out of there. In the video, I calmly pointed at the endless cosmos behind me. Who told you I was on Future Island? Open your damn eyes and see where I really am. The second I finished speaking, a nuke detonated on Future Island. Player 100's name finally turned gray. The system blared a sharp victory tune. Congratulations to player 99, the sole winner. You've cleared the game. Wang Teng had a special ability player working for him, who could pinpoint the exact coordinates from any photo. It was a completely useless ability, but Wang Teng saw exactly how he could use it. He'd sent me countless video requests, trying to screenshot and track my location. But I never picked up. Later, I sent him a photo on New Year's Eve. He secretly called me an idiot, happily tracked my location, and waited for both the gangs and the Zombie King to be wiped out, so he could swoop in and take everything, and decided to blow me up. But how could I not know what players he had? That photo was deliberately leaked to him, to lure him to Future Island. After sending the photo, I got off Future Island. The reward the system gave me was one chance to teleport anywhere instantly. With all my supplies, just like that, I got teleported to a space station, but the system didn't give me a way back to Earth. I couldn't use this reward until the very end.